All right, welcome to the annual meeting of the Swanton Enhancement Project. So the first item is to review the agenda. Would anyone like to make any additions or revisions to the agenda? I thought, you know what I forgot is the Arts Council, the Renaissance Fair donation. We should put that on maybe new business or something.
Yep.
Okay.
So and then, I don't know if you want to do the presentation. Just that way people won't have to stay. Well, I know there's a few teams, I think just for that.
Well, we could, you wanna do the, pop right through these quickly?
Okay.
Okay. So the second item, moving on to the minutes of we have the minutes of the January 5th meeting attached, so you'll have to do the May minutes at the next meeting. Would anyone like to make a motion to accept the January meeting?
So moved.
And we have a second?
Second.
Okay. And any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And then a quick finance update from Joel.
All right, I'm gonna pass, there's 5 sheets, if some folks wanna share them, and then pass them on. After that, okay, regarding the budget, we have the unrestricted side of the budget, there's a balance of $10,276.13. The activity since the last report was a $275 donation. Restricted funds has a balance of $17,000 and $17,075.39. 3,800 of that is committed to the LVRT project. So that balance is more in the $13,000 range. Activity since last report, there were multiple, and it was all related to beautification. Some was donation, and then some were paid out. This is all as of 31 August. I actually did get that last financial report from the bank, so this is all current as of last night. The balance in the restricted area, bikes and signs, we still have $88.95. Capacity building, $1,477.25. Substance abuse, $1,567.99. Beautification, great job they've done. All the money I paid out, and they still have a balance of $6,268.58. And I believe on the agenda is going to be a nice little surprise that adds to that. Marble Mill, there's a balance of $815. Grant write-in, $57.62. The mural, the money that we're carrying for SPAN is $3,000, and my understanding is we are going to get a bill fairly soon. Drive down by the Village Beach, very nice job of painting and improving that site. So don't know how much they're going to bill for, but we should get that fairly soon. So the total amount we have right now in People's Trust as of 31 August is $27,371.52. If anyone wants to see, anybody in the steering committee wants to see the actual bank statement, it's right here. And that's what I have.
Can we ask questions?
Of course.
So the $3,000 carrying for SPAN, is that the fiscal agent thing?
Yes.
Okay.
Fiscal agent thing, technically they got a extension to 31 August. So of this year, so what we're gonna need to see from the people that actually gave us the grant monies is it's gonna be okay to pay the bill when I get it. I will ask for that when I get the bill.
Okay.
Really looks great.
Yes.
Really does.
And I have another question, but maybe other people have questions. So our capacity building amount is an amount that the Franklin County Industrial Corporation gave us when we were just beginning.
Yes.
And is that the money that we would use to hire a secretary that would take the notes? Is that what we're thinking?
I don't really see that as capacity building as much as I would take it right out of the unrestricted balance.
Okay.
You know, six meetings a year, don't quite know the amount, but let's say it's in the range of $60 or something, we're talking $360. Could it be used for capacity building? It could, but I would hope some of the, things you try to do would get some people off to some training and stuff as we used it for that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really up to the steering committee, but,
Yeah, okay, I was just thinking about it.
yep.
And I'm just gonna go down the list. And so the substance abuse money, now we have a committee or not a committee actually, but between Crystal and Nicole and Abby, that money is being put to use.
It will be.
Okay. Well, I think one of the things that we always want to do is make people know that this money is just not sitting there. When you donate to this organization, the money is put to great use in the community. And these are priorities that the community established when Vermont Council on Rural Development came, and the community got together and listed their top priorities, and we formed subcommittees as a result of that gathering. And that's where these financial expenditures are made. They're made in a planning way.
I have a question about the substance abuse. It's new to me exactly what, I assume there's a committee. Exactly how is that money used, or what's the goal, I guess, for that committee?
Well, we haven't, as you can see, we haven't spent a lot of funding out of that. Partially, so my primary job is as the executive director of Franklin County Caring Communities, and we're a substance use prevention organization. So I've been able to sub-grant funding through my organization to Abby for programming at the library, working closely with Nicole and the Vermont Youth Project. So we're kind of spending the federal dollars before digging into any of the funding that we have.
And how is it through education? Is it?
It's a variety of ways. So I'm sure Abby do you want to go talk about the summer stuff that you guys have done?
Sure. So we did summer camps here with youth, and we did a bunch of community service projects and got youth out into the community and learned about caring for our community. And basically, our approach is just getting the youth involved, and when they're involved and have a community, they tend to stay away from those other avenues that they could go down. So we're just offering positive experiences for youth here at the library.
Yeah, so we did things like hot litter cleanups, where you may have seen kiddos
I did.
out and about picking up cigarette butts. And my counterpart, Amy Brewer, and I go kind of around the community, around the whole county actually, talking to kids about the dangers of vaping, smoking, and cannabis use.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that we did early on as an organization is that we had Rutland's Project Vision people come up and host community meetings and do education about substance abuse and substance abuse prevention. And I know I'm not using the right words either, is it? We don't call it's not substance abuse anymore, it's...
Substance misuse.
Thank you. Yeah.
So we're focusing on, so the work that Nicole and I are doing with the young people in the Vermont Youth Project is focusing on resiliency and asset building. So the goal is to catch kids before they ever start experimenting.
I'm out of questions.
You're out of questions. So we can move on to number 4 on the agenda, the presentation of the Kilburn-Lambert Community Service Award. Molly.
And the other thing I was thinking, I'm Molly Lambert, and we we worked with Sandy Kilburn on the formation of the Swanton Enhancement Project. And so tonight I get to start off the discussion or the presentation of the Kilburn Lambert Community Service Award. And tonight we are presenting this award for the third time. It was a surprise to the Kilburns and Hank and me when this award was first presented. And it was presented to us because we had done a lot to get this organization going, and what an honor. And then last year we were able to recognize Joel Clark for his years and years of service to the Swanton community in so many different ways. It is certainly an honor for us tonight to present the award for the third time. And as you will see in the discussion to follow, we think we have made a very good choice. The awardee is selected by the Kilburns and we, and the chair and vice chair of the Swanton Enhancement Project. And you will see that this person certainly lives up to the standard of committing years and years of dedication to improving our community.
And then some.
Yeah, and then some.
Molly, you didn't read from the script. So everybody knows that I make a short story long, so I'm reading from the script. In his early years, when raising a family and working at IBM, he was also a member of the Swanton Volunteer Fire Department. In total, he spent over 30 years in the firefighting profession. After 26 years with IBM, he was hired by the village trustees in March of 2011. For the next 12 years, Swanton became the primary benefactor of his time. During those years, as village manager, he oversaw a 40-person organization that had many significant events. In 2012, the water treatment plant upgrade was completed. In 2013, he participated in the 250th celebration of Swanton, as well as the 125th anniversary of the Swanton Village Electric. He was involved in the early years of the Swanton Enhancement Project and was a full supporter of the 2015 community visit. Also in 2015, he committed to making the streets more friendly to walkers to include the installation of several flashing crosswalks. Special to me was his open door policy and warm personality that created a welcoming atmosphere for all who came to the village.
Our recipient also held the position of Swanton's emergency manager. His calm demeanor and years of experience helped guide Swanton through the flood of January 2018. His efforts were key to the rescue of several families and the following recovery operations. In 2012, his crew donated time to help install the new playground equipment at the elementary school.
I too will read from the script. In 2022, our award recipient was recognized by the New England Public Power Association with the Service Award for significant contributions to that trade organization. Personally, I have to say it was apparent he loved his job. He once took me on a tour, on just all of a sudden, let's go look at, show me the the wastewater treatment plant, the water plant, and other things that were hidden that I didn't know about. He was tireless in attending to administrative duties and was welcoming to citizens who wanted a bit more of his time. He was always open to ideas of others. A big one to me was he was patient. He exuded pride in his community and had a vision of what it could become. It always seemed like he was always considering ways to make things better.
In preparing this presentation, one quote I found that exemplified the character of our 2023 recipient was this, and this came from your retirement from the village. Thank you for buying the village employees' birthday cake every single month that you were here. Always putting family first and making the village feel like a big family. Numerous barbecues, dinners, etc. So folks, I think you've all figured it out, but if you haven't, the 2023 Kilburn Lambert Community Service Award is being presented to Mr. Reginald Belleville. Congratulations, Reggie. Come up here, we have something to present you.
We need to present.
Can we get a picture with you, Ron?
Thank you very much.
I think what we'd like to do, if we could, is get the original recipients to come up and get all 4 or all 5 of you.
And the
That's you too, Joel.
I said the original recipients. I'll hop in right after one with just Reggie.
Ready? One, two. Mine's a little slow.
Okay. Now it's complete.
Don't move.
Thank you.
And you never win.
So I hope you don't want me to say something. I'm sorry?
That was painted by Nicole Gadwa. The swan.
Yeah, I mean, this was a surprise. I mean, if I knew you guys were gonna do this, I would have had an excuse to be somewhere else in the state today. But
See who's back there?
you guys pick a good time to make a grown man cry. But yeah, I mean, starting my new job, now I'm serving the state. So it seems more surreal to be in that role, but I'm still Swanton Emergency Manager. I've been that for like 34 years, I guess. Almost the day I walked into Swanton and made my home on Liberty Street. But now it's just a lot broader. But I really appreciate this. This is humbling, if nothing else. Yeah, I can't thank you guys enough.
You did it all.
Thank you, Reg.
We haven't introduced ourselves. Does everybody in here know Abby?
Well, we have the whole, the steering committee?
I mean, just, no, not the
members of
whole,
the
just the
steering-
people that are at the table.
Oh, because we have some members out here in the audience as well.
Yeah.
So,
Oh,
do you want to,
just introduce when you speak.
okay. So I'm Debbie Winters, the outgoing chair of the Swanton Enhancement Project. And now we'll move on to item 5, the Yard of the Year Award, presented by Siobhan Cooper.
check where the view is first. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everybody. I've been facilitating the Yard of the Year for the Beautification Committee to help promote it and promote the people that help promote Swanton by taking care of their yards as well. I'm not sure if people are here from that, but I'm just gonna read this quick thing and then announce the winners that were selected. First, let me also say a huge thank you to the hardworking members of the Beautification Committee. Without your passion and dedication, this contest wouldn't have been able to happen. I'd also like to thank the participants. Without your participation in this contest, it also would obviously not have been able to happen. I truly hope that regardless of the result, you all have enjoyed being a part of this, and please know that we appreciate you helping to beautify Swanton. Lastly, I'd like to thank fellow Beautification Committee member, Cora Boardman. She is part owner of North Country Flag Company in St. Albans and has graciously purchased and donated the flags that we are giving away to the top 3 winners. Along with, we have 3 $100 gift certificates to 3 different nurseries around Swanton and Highgate. Each one will get one for that. And the committee plans to make this an annual award thing each year, and I'm really excited to see all the beauty. So without further ado, our winners: in 3rd place, contestant number 1, Don and Sally Sullivan and their friend Scruffy. In 2nd place, contestant number 6, James Hakey. And our 1st place winner is contestant number 2, Renee Opp. And obviously they're not here because nobody stood up, but we'll just communicate with them and get them their prizes.
Siobhan, do you have their addresses or where they are so that people will know?
We don't really exactly give out addresses.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I did think about how we grew this later on. Like I heard about nursing homes doing garden parties or garden tours where they get to drive around and see pretty yards, and that hopefully could maybe be something we incorporate later into it as we work out the kinks and get this going. And that would be obviously up to the discretion of the owner if they want their house, listed and viewed in public like that, so.
Thanks, Siobhan, and thanks to the Beautification
Thank you.
Committee.
Yes.
Thank you. I know I want to keep aware of time, so we'll move on to number 6. Hank, would you like to?
Yeah, I'm Hank Lambert, and we're very excited to announce that the Earl Taylor and Donald Taylor estates are donating $20,000 to the Beautification Committee and SEP to enhance the beauty and the downtown community vigor that we all enjoy, and just to make things a little nicer. And Laura Simon is here as Patty Gaborio is not here, but they've been managing that. And do you have a few words to say, Laura?
Just that we're very happy that we're able to do this for Earl. We are not his trustee. My husband will be when that's settled. But Earl and Donald both love flowers, and they love Swanton, and we're happy that we were able to do this for him.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
It's amazing. I know. Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, I think my last official duty is coming up here.
You seem too happy about that.
You see me running in. No, I'm like, number 7 is the review of the current steering committee membership and election of officers. So just in the back of the package is the 23-24 SEP steering committee. Just so you know who SEP is. And we do have some openings for community members. And so, anyone is interested. Please keep that in mind. So, also, the proposed slate of officers, for Chair, Betsy Fournier, for Vice Chair, Crystal Lampman, Secretary Treasurer Joel Clark, and Communications Siobhan Cooper, and that is the Executive Committee of SEP. So, then, is there,
Are there any other nominations?
oh, okay. Are there any other nominations for the Executive Committee membership? And hearing none, would someone like to make a motion to approve the proposed slate of officers?
So moved.
And Molly, and do I have a second?
Second. You can have it. You sure?
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So,
Debbie says.
welcome.
Voila.
There. So we had Molly and Nicole.
No, yes, no. Debbie,
Oh, wow.
your turn.
Oh, nice, nice.
Those are beautiful.
These were prepared by Jenny
Oh.
at the former Flowers by Debbie, which is still in their panel front, but at any rate. And I said, we want something elegant and beautiful, just like Debbie.
And don't go away.
And these come with the thanks of all of us and all of the SCP folks, but all of the people in Swanton who have benefited from your leadership. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And I also, don't go away. Wait a minute.
You know,
You know, it's hard to have adequate words to thank you for what you have done for Swanton. And we're so grateful that you chose to start a business here, that you chose to raise your children here, and that you're living here in Swanton. And thank you too for the wonderful playground. You're welcome.
thank you. Thanks, everyone.
And it has been my absolute honor to co-chair with you for the last few years, but I'm sure you won't go too far.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Well, I'm looking forward to what the future holds for SEP.
Yeah.
It's definitely bright. So, okay.
Oh, I guess that's me. So, at this time, we're going to welcome Matthew Walker. He's the Franklin County representative, and he is our presenter this evening. And we're glad that you could be here this evening and kind of give us some updates on what's happening and maybe open it up to any questions anybody may have.
Well, thank you very much. Do you mind if I stand or should I sit?
Absolutely.
Is it too formal? Wow, the first thing I have to say is that's an incredibly hard acts to follow, and I think applause for all the winners of awards, for the long-time service, for the members, and for the chair. Holy smoke. That was very impressive. That's a pretty hard act to follow. I guess in the words of public service, I'm just getting started. I am the state representative for Swanton and Sheldon. I've just finished the first session of the 2-year biennium. I did have a few months filling in, was appointed by Governor Scott February of the previous year to fill in Brian Savage's spot representing Swanton and Sheldon. And those are some also very big shoes to fill. We're very lucky that he's moved over to the role that he is. There is also it's a 2-seat district here for Swanton and Sheldon. So Tom Oliver, who's resting from some surgery, represents Swanton and Sheldon as well in the same position that I do out of our 150 representatives in the State House. So I've been there for one term for 5 months, from January to May. And I learned a couple of quick things. I learned lots of things. And the biggest thing I learned is that there's so much more to learn, and that there is so much going on, and that we passed an $8.3 billion bill for our budget for our 660,000 people in Vermont. We only have 6,000, well, almost 7,000 of those in Swanton, but we passed an $8.3 billion budget. So there's an awful lot of money out there. There is an unbelievably huge bureaucracy, which is growing. I come from a background that would generally have been more conservative and more conservative financially, what I would say. But I've reached a spot where I'm understanding that for the benefit of your town and the place that you live in, that less government is not always the best thing. What I've heard recently about hiring your grant writers and hiring an assistant in the town and in the village, from what I've learned of the amount of programs, serving on the Transportation Committee, learning about the Agency of Commerce and Economic Development, learning about all of the grants that were mentioned, what these ladies are dealing with every day and the library is dealing with every day, there is so much out there. There are so many programs. There are so many opportunities. What I've seen in my time there is the towns, the villages, and the groups like yourselves, or hopefully like ourselves, but the group like yourselves, that have people actively working in that and actively pursuing are at a huge advantage. Towns that want to keep their government small, I understand that, and I support that. But there are positions, and there are so many opportunities. Right now, the governor is beginning and is writing their budget requests, their budget that he'll deliver in January with his budget requests. If we want money for things, we're already behind. Now, granted, a lot of you are already working on it. Don't get me wrong. There's lots of great things going on, and you have two great partners in terms of running the village and the town together, as well as the boards. But what I really want to say is that the amount of opportunity between, just in the transportation that I've seen, between the things I've heard about from people like your partner, Amy Brewer, and from the pieces, from safe rides to school, and from crosswalk money that was mentioned tonight, from every wastewater is a huge issue, from all of the projects, and there are dozens. And they range from small to big, and from short term to long term. That would be my message that I would say as you continue to look at each project. Is it short term, is it long term? Is it small or is it big? Where do we start? And some of these things are going to take 10 and 15. I think you already know that. But what I'm saying is you have to work at it and you have to work at the system every day. But it is out there. I learned about things called Northern Border Commissions, where there's money available for all of these northern border towns. Of course, there's federal earmarks again, and of course, there's grants and et cetera. So that's one of the biggest things that I learned in my short time that I've been there, and I'll be back in January for the second part of the biennium, is that the opportunities are out there. The amount of grant money is huge, and that's just in the public, in the state money. That doesn't count all of the other national opportunities and grants and pieces that are out there, the benefactors, the philanthropists, the people that want help. So being involved and having someone advocating on that on a regular full-time basis, although against what I would historically have believed is that less government is often better and constriction is often better, and I believe in fiscal responsibility, you absolutely, if you want to get the best opportunities and the best grant money and the best piece for your town, you got to fight for your piece. Fight's not the right word. You got to be out and advocate it. And right now, in meetings with the governor's staff, they're writing their budget request. And I know I did also meet the now leader of the Appropriations Committee, which is about as high a level as you can get in the legislature. Her very first presentation when she presented the budget to the House was, we kept every single request of the governor's in the budget, and of course added many after. But the key part is Diane Lamphere, representative from North Ferrisburg and Virginia, probably the fourth or fifth most powerful in state government as far as the appropriation side and the budget side, not in the overall piece. She's 100% supporter of the governor and his overall direction and terms. She may not agree with the amounts, but I want you to know that the governor takes a huge sway in that way. So as you're looking at what the short-term, long-term monies are and the grant requests and the pieces that you want to be in, I was on a conversation today with Senator Norris that represents Franklin County, who's also on the Fair and Field Days board, and they're looking and working with the governor's staff to how much money needs to be included in the governor's budget for this next piece in terms of dealing with that. Those are all pieces that are out there. So that's just something I wanted to really throw out there. One of the things that I've learned, there is regardless of whatever you hear about supermajorities and you hear about the battles and you hear about the pieces, there's huge opportunity out there and it's available in more of an organization at that 8.3 number than I can even begin to tell you, and what I haven't learned enough of it in the 5 months. There's people here in the crowd that know far more about it than I do, but that was one of the biggest things I learned. The other thing that I learned that I think is a little more funny than that, or a little more interesting, is I always heard on the news, you know, that bills go to committee to die. Everybody hear that? Bills go to committee to die? Did everybody really understand what that means? Or they go on the wall to die? Some people, maybe everybody knows. Anybody not know how that happens? Because I found that very interesting. I don't know, nobody else wants to hear the story. I'll move on to my next story. But literally every single bill that's going to be proposed, and we have a deadline, by the way, if you want to propose a bill to be considered by the next assembly, the next legislative session starting in first week of January. It has to be filed, has to be in to the lawyers to write it and whatnot into legislative council, but it has to be in by December, I think 14th or something like that, or maybe it's December 2nd. But every one of them gets a little white index card basically, and it gets assigned a number, and it gets a title and a description. And then the Speaker of the House decides what committee of her 13 standing committees that it's going to be in their jurisdiction. And then they go there, and they literally go onto the wall in a bulletin board, and they're tacked up there. And the head of the committees decide whether it will or will not ever come off and be discussed inside the committee room. So when you hear that a bill is going to die in committee or it's going to die on the wall, it truly is symbolic that there's an index card with H436 or H247 or whatever it is, sitting there on the wall with the title, with the description, with the sponsor's name on the lead sponsor's name on it, sitting in a committee. I sit in the transportation committee, and there are, I think there were 47 of them assigned to us last session, and I just want you to know that we passed 2 out of transportation.
How many did you discuss?
Our chair invited in the sponsor on every single one of them, and they were allowed somewhere between 2 and 10 minutes to present why it was important. Now, some of them were pulled off their idea and incorporated into some part of a bill, or the agency was assigned, the Agency of Transportation was assigned a project to say, could you check this out for us and bring it back? But the Transportation Committee, as an example, Brian knows, it only passes the transportation budget and some years a miscellaneous DMV, Department of Motor Vehicles bill. That's all, but that's also the 3rd largest budget portion. The transportation budget's the 3rd largest of the entire state budget, some $890 million this year to pave roads and fix sidewalks and crosswalks and everything else. Anyway, so that the Transportation Committee. Now other committees, they're passing bills out of committee every day. We work on the entire first half of the legislature on the budget, because all budget bills start in the House. And then at crossover, which is right around town meeting day or a little bit thereafter, crossover comes, and all the bills go from the House to the Senate and Senate to the House. Generally speaking, if you haven't gotten it out of your committee by then, it dies until the next year. But it is very interesting. So there's all kinds of bills on there about speed limits and jake brakes and noise and motorcycle. Anyway, so I could go on about those things. But we did hear about all of them, covered bridges, all kinds of things in there. Yes, ma'am.
So, how long do they stay on the wall, and when do you take them off?
2 years. So they'll be there. They were there this year. We will get new ones, perhaps, that people propose, and they'll put up new ones, and then we will. The chair will decide what gets addressed, but they will go up on the wall. And at the end of the 2-year biennium, then they get completely all taken down, and you have to start all over, completely brand new from scratch.
Now, is it the Speaker of the House that decides what comes off the wall to go to a committee?
What all of them get assigned, whatever is proposed by any law, any bills, they all get assigned to a committee by the Speaker of the House. The chair of the committee decides whether they get addressed.
I see.
I'm sure in conjunction with the speakers and the leadership of people that are
They go back
important.
up on the wall?
I'm sorry?
If they're not addressed, they go back
They
up on the wall?
they just stay up there, yep, they stay right up there. Yep. The whole time. Yes?
What's your own personal goal for the next legislative session?
My personal goal for the next legislative session, wow. I haven't been a politician very long, but what I guess I would say is that learning is the biggest thing that I would say that to come out. The size and the scope of the state government and understanding how better to help Swanton and Sheldon and to understand how to help the community is probably what I focus on the most. It's incredible the depth and the level of we could spend a whole day talking about transportation. In the next legislative session, you're going to see a huge amount of discussion on remediation and the cost of the testing for all of the issues in the schools, with the Monsanto issues and the PCBs, thank you. That's a huge deal. As an example, won't come through our committee. You're gonna hear a lot more about climate control as it relates to transportation. We're not selling electric cars anywhere near the level. There's gonna be a discussion about how much more incentive we're going to give or not give in that area that we're not close to we're gonna be told we're not close to our climate goals. So that's gonna be a big part of what I'll spend time on, the transportation. I will tell you, I don't have a specific goal that says I have to do this. I would like to know what I could do to help Swanton and Sheldon more. I'd like to continue to learn how you actually do that in each piece. I would say that one of the things I was going to mention is the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail is something that went through transportation on a significant basis, and the amount of work that's going on and the amount of activity that's happening in other towns, what I learned and work with in other places, amazes me. Hardwick, which I graduated high school in Northfield, so we played Hardwick in basketball. And for a side note, I still coach high school basketball, and some people's son are the most aggressive and hardworking players that I've ever had the honor to coach. They're building 3 reception locations to get onto the rail trail. We have obviously the advantage of being ahead, but Hardwick's building 3. They were already end-to-end cross-country ski races being planned out of locations. I'm not saying we're not doing enough. I'm saying there's even more out there and more opportunity. I'm not suggesting that we're not, but I'm saying those are the kind of things. Figure out how do I help with that. What I've heard in a lot of campaigns is people come and say, I'm going to fix this and I'm going to do that. And I'm going to tell you that unless you know the chair, unless you know the speaker, unless it's such a foolproof, 100% guaranteed, and you already started on it last year, it's not happening. You can say that every time you hear it in a campaign. I chuckle when I hear that. Unless you are the Speaker of the House or the committee chair, you're not going down there and fixing something in one session or in 6 months. Like I said, right now, the governor's working on his budget proposal. If there's something that we think should be in there, or that other people think should be in there, they need to be working on it right now. And then you get on to the next one, and to the next one, and the next one. There's things like that, but there's so many opportunities along that line. So I'm not sure that I answered your question, say other than I am not jumping up and down and saying I'm going to do any one particular thing, but my biggest goal is to learn every day, and I also work hard to make sure that I meet as many people as possible. Yes, is that a question, or I'm out of time?
I have a question. So Swanton's public transportation system is sorely lacking. I don't know if you're aware of how it works or what we have as it stands right now for public transportation in Swanton.
I would say that I couldn't tell you the full details.
So it's one bus at like 5:45 in the morning, goes to St. Albans. Now, you can make that bus and catch the one in St. Albans that goes to Montpelier and et cetera, but it's one bus, 5:45 in the morning, one bus back, 5 something, I don't know the exact times anymore. But at one point, I needed to work, and my 10th grader needed to catch the bus to go to BFA. And that was like really early, but I'm glad it was there. But like, I really hope that as you go along, you think about, if you hear any, tell us about grants or plans of action to improve just public transportation, even Albert, Highgate, you know, this whole strip along here, just really could use some more, because not everybody has vehicles. And it's very difficult, and because there's less public transportation, that's more of a cost on Medicaid, you know, transportation rides. So if we had public transportation, people could take public transit, for example, you know, to Medicaid, that lowers Medicaid costs. I don't know, but just an idea, yeah.
There are 4 or 5 different test pilot programs, I guess they call it, the ride shares that are based on sort of micro transit, the rural micro transit, particularly. There's a big one going on in Berlin. I know that particularly. I hear that one on a regular basis. There's in other spots. The CITER group that covers the islands usually is, at least in the Transportation Committee, is mentioned as a group that does a good job for the islands piece. I don't know how that fits exactly here, but there are multiple programs, and the rural versus urban public transit is a big discussion because, well, last year Green Mountain Transit came and asked for $30 million, so it came back and forth quite a bit on that particular piece.
Yeah, well, I don't want to knock them. Green Mountain Transit does a great job, and whatnot, but if you can give them more funding, and then maybe we can get more public transportation. I'm talking like 10 years down the road or more, you know what I mean? You know, future development, but.
I would tell you
get
that's
into a-
where it starts. This is how it starts. People ask, and then they go, and then the pieces grow, and you see where it goes from there. Yes.
How do we, who are working in the community in various, you know, places for the betterment of the, how do we communicate most effectively with you in terms of what's going on here on the ground? So that it will help
Individually
you.
or as a group?
No, yeah, as the
Or
group,
both?
as the group.
Because I think that one of the things that I found in attending the last meeting, which I was really impressed with the presentation at the, over at the food shelf and whatnot, and then the amount of information that everyone puts out in terms of the communication, pulling all of the groups together and having each group report is unbelievably huge for the community. And it's huge. That's the biggest way that I learn, but certainly being on every email list, and my legislative email is one thing that I do answer to on a regular basis.
Because some people don't.
Well, and so we are in session from January to May, and it is, for those of you, that legislative pay will be on the agenda for the next legislative session. There's a lot of people that want to push it to be year-round. There's a lot of people that want to push it to have staff, et cetera. It is a part-time, 5-month job that is not paid out of session at all for
But
anything. So anything you do is definitely volunteer, so some people don't answer.
So
and some people do.
legislative email is the way
That is the way
to
that I would most
communicate with
likely-
you most effectively.
Most likely answer a
Well, that's
issue
good.
related to the Swanton
That's good to
Enhancement
know.
Program.
Yeah. Great.
I can also tell you I'm not hard to find and run a business here in St. Albans, and I coach basketball up at MVU, so I don't, I'm a little bit around. Yes.
Matt, has there been further discussion about the Welcome Center or the
Some people might know a little bit more about it. To me, I personally think that's a huge opportunity. It's a long-term type of plan, and I've had some discussions with it. And the place for those things to grow really has to be either the Secretary of the Agency of Transportation sort of has to want it. I'm not saying that he doesn't or doesn't. I just know that somebody has to become a champion because it takes so long to make it work. The last part in the discussions that I had with one of his assistants is really going to come down to, is there really a location? Is there a place that can actually fit it and make it work? So that was the last part that I heard. But one thing that I found very encouraging, based on what I started with, everybody that I talked to about it, and I actually asked quite a bit of, from the head of the transportation committees from Guilford, and they have an amazing welcome center on 91 North, which is exactly what I think should be the model of a welcome center here. I don't know if anybody's ever stopped at the one on 91, just into the state from 91 North coming up. Please do if you haven't. That would be the model of what I would want to see, along with local artwork and the huge opportunities to educate on our local area. But everybody that I talked to, from the transportation, from the head of the transportation committee to the head of the agency, finding the money in the long term is not the problem. It is making sure that it is championed. That will lead me into my long-winded answer. Every local, all of the delegation has to be on board. The boards in both the village and the town, the Northwest Regional Planning Commission, which is on my list of things that I probably won't get to talk to, has to view it as a huge priority. It has, if you want transportation issues to become a priority, to get a scoping study, to get onto the list, that they have to want it. Somebody has to be advocating for it. It has to find its way through that then would get projected as a potential cost, and then would be investigated who would be assigned to it in the agency and eventually work its way through the process. All transportation projects in the state are all on a public website that is in the Agency of Transportation, shows every project for the entire state. It shows every property that the agency owns in terms of when any culvert, any piece is going to be worked on and scoped and studied. All bridges are tested within 1 to 2 years and scored regularly, and those that are in trouble get scored on a regular basis. And everything is on a priority list and pops up through this book. I should have brought that with me. Show you the 3-ring binder of all of the agency state projects. I think that Welcome Center is a big opportunity in a long-term plan. The most recent thing that I had heard from his assistant, Michelle Blumenauer, is there even a place that we can, I would want it to be north of the exit. You don't want it to, once they get past the exit, they're not turning around and coming back. And so is there a spot? And the public-private partnership piece is not something that apparently is workable in terms of what I think that was on the interstate. But every one of those entities has to be lined up, which would also point me to anything that the SEP does, anything that goes on that you think you want to accomplish. I do think you divide them into the shorter and physical ones that you can control or work with the town and the village and the group together. But anything that's political, that's going to require any state support, you have to have the board, the village managers and trustees and the town manager and select have to be involved 100% all the way. If there is any sense at all that there's not full partnership and agreement, if somehow you're doing something and then you have to go educate them and bring them along and then incorporate their ideas, that delays it at the least, or kills it in the bigger picture of trying to get it down to the next level. That is one of my recommendations is A, there's unbelievable opportunities out there everywhere, and having people work on it all the time is a huge advantage for your group, and asking and continuing to work with these guys on that. And B, you can't go to the board after you come up with something that you think is great and then have them put their pieces to it and send you back. If they're not involved in it all the way up through, it's just gonna take an awful lot longer. That's what I've heard from Rutland, from Barry, from St. Johnsbury in meeting with the cities that have development projects, downtown developments have opportunities, the ones that work. There's no longer a view of the government and the business, the government and the citizens, the business and the citizens, that they're all, it's one group, that the businesses, the citizens, and the government are on the same team for the betterment of our town, our village. If they're still viewed as something separate when it comes to the priorities, that's what's hurting that's what some people tell me anyway, is why Barry hasn't moved along as quickly as it otherwise would. That's why Rutland hasn't moved on as quickly as although they got a big whoopie pie thing coming on, have you heard that? If you like whoopie pies, they got a big event.
Where SEP could add credibility to any village or town priorities is to provide that, maybe a support, and that you have that, the community support.
I think Representative Walker just outlined why the organization was formed in the first place and why Reg's involvement and Joel's involvement during the time this organization has been in place, and now we have Brian and Bill on board, is that they are welcome parts of every discussion. Nicole is a select board member, and at any rate, that is the point. The convening is the point, so that we're sharing information and we're coming to the best conclusion in any process in which we engage. So that I think that's absolutely the way to go.
Yeah, I know you own JC Image down in St. Albans, and I was wondering, what's it like managing a business like that, and what improvements and being a legislator at the same time, and what improvements could you see happening in the future that could make it easier for people that work full-time jobs to serve in the legislature?
My wife was on the school board for 9 years. She was in the Little League board she's still treasurer of the Northwest Little League. She was on the Little League board itself for 10 or 12 years. She's been the administrator for 15. She was on the rec board with Betsy for over a decade. And now I beg her not to do any of those things so that she can try to run the business while I'm gone for most of the 5 months. It is certainly a major hurdle. I don't know what the answer exactly is. If you're not willing to make that level of sacrifice, it's going to be very hard. You have to be retired. I see it down there every day. There's nobody my age there. I'm 53. They're 60 plus, or they're 25 and 30 and under. There's nobody 45, 50. There isn't. they can't. They have to work. They have to. But is it a full-time job? Is it a full-time year-round? We are already spending $8.3 billion at the state level. We already have. We're the number one. The state's the number one employer, and the government is already huge. If we go to a full-time legislature, it's going to get even bigger and faster. And I'm not even certain. I am interested in serving on this government accountability committee that I've been assigned to. That's going to start in the 1st of October. That I was going to go back and look at the things that were passed to see if there's even a start to work on some of the things that were passed. I don't believe we need more law than we have now immediately. I think that 5 months, twice a year, is plenty of time, if worked on correctly, to get things done. I'm not going to say that cost of living is an issue for everybody, opportunity is an issue for everybody, but if we go to a full-time, full job, I don't think that's going to bring us closer to our citizens. I don't think that's going to be closer to our towns. I think that that is going to pull away from these type of things where I have to come here and answer to people in an election or in a spot. But if it becomes a full-time job and then you're going to start talking about staff, you're going to start talking. I don't think that's what's best for Vermont. It's not the Vermont I grew up in. It's not. Town meeting has become incredibly difficult. If what COVID did tell a lot of people and showed a lot of people is, by the way, that community involvement and time and energy can be readdressed, and you can spend a heck of a lot more time with things that some people consider more important. I don't know that more is the answer. I do think that there is something has to be done from every person that's under 30 or over 65 serving is a concern, but I don't think that year-round, full-time is what I would support. I'm not sure if that answers your question. So we're a seasonal business. We're in the clothing business. For us, January, February, March are incredibly slow, and come April and May, my transportation committee is like, so how many days are you going to be here this week? I said, well, that really depends on how much work I have to do, but you know, we're balanced in a seasonal business. I don't know how long I'll be able to continue to coach basketball, but that's certainly going to be on the agenda in the next session, again and again. Yes, sir.
I would just add to the conversation about the full-time legislature. Vermont is not big enough to support or have the need for a full-time legislature. You realize there are states in the United States much bigger than Vermont. The legislature meets for 2 weeks and they're gone. And so, and some legislators, and we just go over to New Hampshire, they barely get paid anything.
Well, there are 435 of them.
Right.
There are, and they get $400 a session or something like that. It's completely volunteer.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the old saying when I was there. The first year I was there, we do our business and get the hell out of town as fast as you can, because the longer we're here, we'll make really a detriment to the people of this state.
So, and I appreciate what you're saying, Brian. I don't know that we're going to solve it, but that tells me part about when I started before. There's so much, and there's so many issues, and they all can get an hour's worth of discussion. But it's that is it. You can't cover them all in 20 minutes. But I really think that what the group is doing, and what the awards showed, and what the volunteers showed, and the people that dedicate their time. First of all, yes, I want to say thank you again to all those people. Secondly, I do feel for you that no good deed goes unpunished. So let's be very clear. We know that the social media of the world, the Facebook of the world, there's lots of places where people maybe wrote a letter to the editor, now they still do that, but now they get to write whatever they think at any moment. And I know when you put yourself out in a public position and you volunteer nonetheless, what you guys do for the community and put up with that and deal with that, and that no good deed goes unpunished. There's always something out there, and there's always somebody that has a detraction for what you've said, what you've done, the stance you've taken, or and I admire and applaud anybody willing to put their name out like that, to put their name on a ballot, to stand up in the meetings, to try to advocate for their town. And I try to remind everybody, no matter what you think is wrong or right about that, that person cares about the town as much as you do. If you can come from that level and basis, that they care for the town or for your family, for your neighborhood, hopefully, as much as you do, that's where they're coming from. But I know that all of your good deeds, they do not go unpunished, and I very much appreciate all that you've done. And I appreciate the time to speak here tonight, and I will be happy to talk to any of you at any point all the way down through. And thank you very much for your time.
Yes, thank you so much for being here. This is the second meeting you've attended, so we appreciate your support. And really visualizing the work that we do and what we put into our community, so thank you very much. So at this time, we're gonna hear from our community chair stakeholders. We have a few openings in our, so the MVSD, which is the school district, Terry O'Shea served on that committee. She has since stepped down, so we do have a seat open for that. If anybody was interested in kind of taking over that role, they kind of report out of what's happening in the school districts. She was a school board member, so she had a lot of information.
I have done some canvassing and talked to Julie and the principal and vice principal over there, and they're very interested. So, principal and vice principal trying to figure out, juggling their schedules. So we need to reach out to them to let them know a little more. And then Julie says she's more than welcome to come and make presentations as requested.
Perfect. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I do want to make one plug while we're at it.
Okay.
And that is MVU is now not in the lower, according to US World Rankings, US World Report, or that, anyway, it's not in the low rankings for Vermont, it's moving up towards the middle to high. And so and that's 2021, so they're expecting better with the different curricula and different, I forget what else she said, but something, so they're hoping it's gonna move up even higher.
Great.
For the ranking. Our graduation rate, I'm surprised, is one of the things that's in our favor, which wasn't years ago, so.
That's good.
Good stuff happening.
Thank you, Terry. So our committee chairs will have 2 minutes or less to report out.
Sorry, I jumped in.
No,
Sorry.
it's fine. I'm glad that you spoke on behalf of the school. So just 1 minute. So Arts Council, does anybody here?
I can speak for the Arts Council.
Oh. Tell them who you are.
Oh, I am Abby Gaudette. I am the director of the public library, and I'm also the vice president of the Arts Council. So Arts Council, we got a $5,000 grant this year to do free art programming, and we have stretched it so far. We've done so many things. I don't have the exact number, but it's, do you have a number?
I could look one up on my phone, but not within 1 minute.
I'd say we've done at least 35 projects this year, probably more, free art programming in this community for all levels, all ages, all abilities. So that's been really awesome for the Arts Council. We're pretty much a brand new board this year, and we're trying to get our feet under us, and so there's more to come.
So Abby, you might as well speak on behalf of the library.
Might as well keep going.
Yeah.
And so for the library this year, we have tons and tons of programming, but in addition to the programming, I'd really like to talk about some of the building improvements that have happened this year. Next week, if we were sitting here next Tuesday, we'd be sitting in a room with a brand new glass partition here. We've had a lot of local people step up and come paint the murals. They've painted the walls. We've just had so much work done inside and outside this building this year, and I just think it's really incredible. The community coming together and really valuing this space that we have, and seeing the programs that we've put on and really taking pride in our community in that way.
Thank you. So Swanton Recreation, Nicole.
So hi, I'm Nicole Draper. I'm the executive director for Swanton Recreation. We've been doing a lot of great things with our youth athletic programs. We are working on building feeder programs for MVU. This year we have brand new football program for grades 1 through 4 and grade 5 through 6, which is fantastic. We were very successful at holding summer programming. We like to see that to continue to grow. We work hand in hand with partners at the library, partners like Crystal and Franklin County Caring Communities on youth prevention efforts. We've also partnered really well with the Abenaki this year on offering lots of different things to the community. We had a very successful event called Corn Fest, which was just a way for Swanton to celebrate agriculture in its own way. We are hoping and looking forward to that coming next year, and we are working with the town select board as well as Mr. Clark on a hopefully community center in the future for Swanton.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you. And Nick, would you like to speak on the Historical Society?
Sure, and I can also give an update on the chamber as well.
Sure.
Yeah, so for the Historical Society, we'll be meeting again after summer break on Thursday, next Thursday at 4:45 PM at the Depot Museum. And Fred Wiseman should be doing some programming on the Abenaki and the trains coming up in the near future. I don't have any dates yet, but it should be coming up. Other than that, there's not too much going on, but when it comes to the chamber, I will be at the Gathering of the Realms this weekend and doing a table for the Chamber of Commerce, hopefully getting out some membership forms, and might be wearing a jester costume, so.
Well, worth coming then.
Town of Swanton, Brian, do you?
Okay, the town plan, by state law, each municipality has to have a town plan, and there's an expiration date on each plan, and 2023 Swanton's plan was to expire, so it was revised and rewritten. This year, or this time around, they hired, the town was able to get a planning grant, and we were able to hire consultant Corey Parent from St. Albans. He did a great job, and the plan went from a 150-page document down to less than a 100-page document. And it's so what has happened is it went through the planning commission, and then they turned it over to the select board. The select board had 2 public hearings, and on the second public hearing they adopted it. So it has been adopted in process. Next plan, or next phase, will be to bring now current zoning regulations into line with that town plan. So that's the next project, is to update the zoning regs. The LVRT, Joel is more in tune with this than I am, but I will report that there was an archaeological dig last week by UVM, came up, and they were hired by the town to do the digging to check for archaeological findings, and they found no findings. That's a good thing. Definitely, things can progress from there. And so that's where this, now I'm going to wait for what's the next phase. I'll leave that to Joel.
Yeah, basically the preliminary design is done. Now it's got to go through all the hoops of federal and state monies being spent. So that's going to take a couple months. But the bottom line, we're shooting for a spring construction start. And that archaeological was a little bit of a bump, and we didn't know how that was going to turn out. Good news, it was negative. So spring is still the target for starting the project.
Things went a little fast, Brian. Are we talking about the safety building that you're building?
No.
What are we talking about?
The trailhead, the LV.
The parking area at the western end of the Lamoille Valley Rail Trail.
Which is located where?
On Robin Hood Drive.
Across
Okay.
from the school district.
Yes.
Is that the area they just cleared?
They've started clearing it. There'll be a little more clearing done before fall's complete, yes.
Thank you.
Also, before we move on from the town, in case anybody hasn't seen it already, we have a beautiful new website with the village. We're also looking for community events or information that you'd like to be put on that. There's a section on the website that lets you know how to get that up on our website. But if anybody's having trouble doing so, please feel free to reach out to me at the rec department, and I will gladly make sure that your community events gets put on our calendar. We also, in addition to our regularly scheduled meetings, we have a special meeting to discuss the community center on the 26th, and we really encourage the community to come out to learn more about the project and to come and ask questions.
And that will be at the village complex.
Yes.
Mr. Billy Sheets is with the village.
Hi. Thank you. I'm going to stand if it's okay. I'm dealing with vertigo. Nick, you got me you're all right side up now, aren't you? So let's take a tour through the village. A lot of these projects existed when Reg was there, and they don't happen so quickly. So the Hotel Rib, Neil Spear's on vacation right now in India, and he's going to twitch because I just said the Rib. So a little bit of additional soil assessment. We hope to clean that up and get a completion and put that on the market early next year. So it only took 5 or 6 years. Let's head across the bridge. We own the bridge. Town, last chance for free. Town. We have to fix the bridge. So it's going to be replaced by the state of Vermont in 2029. It is in the queue. That'll be, I would say, well over a $10 million project. We will be responsible for 5 to 10% of that. Right now, we have to fix the expansion joints. We did get a bid last year for $260,000. We only had $200,000. My math skills are not strong, but we need more money. So we do need to fix it. We have to go back out to bid. It will get fixed next year. The plan is to reduce the cost of the project by 45%. Ready? Warning every meeting. By closing traffic down for 4 to 5 days and fixing it all at once.
Whoa.
There is the bypass, right?
There is the bypass, and no one's going to like either decision, but that's something that we're going to look because we think we can save a significant amount of money, but it is going to be a cost driver. Let's go a little bit west. Again, math skills, my worst subject at Missisquoi, but we got slightly over $1 million overbid for the Missisquoi water line. However, we're still going to bond for less than $1.2 million. It's called loan forgiveness. It's a beautiful thing. So the state revolving loan fund, it might start as early as this fall, but likely spring of next year. We have a $375,000 grant for downtown revitalization. I mean, we've spoke about that. That's again next year. But if you've been in the village the last couple days, you saw folks with the VEST VHB doing the engineering studies. So we have hired an engineer of record and an engineering firm. We need about $1.3 million. We have $375,000, so that will happen. Let's go back the other way. Wastewater. Our wastewater treatment facility is roughly 27, 28 years old, and it needs a serious upgrade to the tune of about $6.7 million. We just got good news. We just, based on our economic downtown tour of a few months ago, we're going to get $1 million in grant, 1.7 in forgiveness, and a very low interest rate. So we'll know the bond amount in November very soon. We're going to have public forums, but you got to take care of your wastewater. I know my time, you haven't done a time clock yet.
Yeah, you're way over. But so is Brian.
One more quick thing
One
then.
more.
There might be another bond in the future in March. We'll do public forums very soon for 124 First Street next to the Village Complex for a proposed public safety facility, fire and police.
Nice.
Sorry, no questions, time's up.
I've got a question for somebody. Just over the bridge, on your left, what used to be the snack bar or ice cream bar or whatever it was many years ago, there's a backhoe there in demolition since April, May, and nothing's happening.
It's private property.
Oh. And so that's, okay, never mind. I guess I can't.
Private property. We can, well, yeah, it's not in our control, either one of us. No, it's Brian's fault.
I was thinking maybe it was tied into the bridge, that's why I was asking.
No.
No.
Beautification, Hank. What other blossoming news do you have?
Well, the great news is that, as Matt was talking about getting support and communicating and getting together, the village and the town fathers, the elected officials, have supported us financially to get us going this year, the first year of a 7-year plan for beautification and enhancing the overall living space that we have. The village installed watering pipes for gardens on the green and flower boxes on the bridge. Refurbished the Totem Garden. We refurbished the Fountain Garden, and there's a new garden at Veterans Park. Joel was very instrumental in that. New planters on Merchants Row, hanging baskets on Grand Avenue. We hired a person to water certain plants, and the village provided 2 people for a limited amount of time, 3 days a week, to help us with watering, which is a major challenge for us every year. And so much more is going on. We've got ideas that will hopefully take fruition in the next couple of years. And we're identifying sites for planting trees. Part of our 7-year plan is to plant at least 10 trees, street side trees, each year. But we see all kinds of sites where that could be enhanced. So we're looking at a vision. We have a vision, and we're very thankful for the village and the town's support and community giving. Thank you. And the committee, of course. Two or three committee members, raise your hand. Linda Wertz. Yeah, it's Laura. Yeah, so.
Yeah, special hand for that group. What's great around there?
Another positive is that this year we grew our committee to over 20 people now, so it's really wonderful to have that support.
Hank says we, but Hank is really the one that grew the committee this year. Thank you, Hank.
Thank you. Yeah, sure.
If we know of areas that need trees, for example, I live on Broadway, and in the last 13 years, there's been 9 trees cut down through that area. Is there any incentive for homeowners to plant them, or can they reach out to you?
Yeah, they certainly can reach out to us. We, in fact, have identified some spaces that are on private property, and we have a simple form that suggests or demands, I guess, that they care for the trees, but the end result is they or a subsequent owner can do what they want with it. But hopefully the community spirit will take hold. And but yeah, let us know if there are sites. We're starting this year on First Street, which is a tough one because the greenways are so narrow and you can't plant too many things there.
Thank you.
Baby trees?
No, they're good-sized trees. They're.
I mean, for First Street.
Oh.
With the narrow. They need something, the miniature trees or something.
Oh, yeah, well, one thing we are going to experiment with is planting hydrangeas.
Low.
They're low and they won't obstruct vision, so.
So we're gonna move on to healthy communities and substance misuse. We need to change the name.
Well, actually, I mean, we did. So I'm Crystal Lemon, and as I said earlier, I'm the Executive Director of Franklin County Caring Communities, lifetime Swanton community member.
And new co-chair.
And I'm now the co-chair. So, you know, previously we were the substance use prevention entity for SEP. And we, probably, what, a year or two ago, we determined that we really wanted to change that to healthy communities. And we wanted to work on creating communities where all people feel welcome and valued to live, work, and play. So you'll see when we're talking about this healthy communities, we're working oftentimes in collaboration with the rec department and the library and any community entity that's willing. So we've done some stuff with the Abenaki community as well, including medication take-back envelopes out and about so that we remove medications from the diversion stream. And often the work that I do full-time goes hand in hand with the work that we're doing with the SEP, simply because Swanton has always been welcoming. Reg has always been a wonderful champion. Whenever we have come and said, we want to do X, Y, Z, he's always welcomed Amy and I with open arms. And as has the select board and the village trustees. I'm often hounding Earl. So as I said earlier, we were able to subgrant Abby some money that she was able to, she came to the SEP last year, I think it was, and asked for $300. And $300 could give scholarships to 6 families to send their children to a summer camp program. And so we were able to subgrant $2,000 to them this year to create programming within the community for all ages. So you'll see things that are happening in the library, like teen nights. And when we're focusing on asset building and resiliency and not so much on the substance use prevention, they just go hand in hand. So when we give kids a safe and healthy place to be, they're making different decisions and choosing alternative lifestyles. We had a young woman from Swanton that attended a leadership forum this summer, and she's gonna work with Nicole to do some work at MVU, hopefully. Nicole is always downplays her role in a lot of things, I think. She also serves as the advisor for our Teen Institute program in the Swanton and Highgate area. So it's as the MVU catchment. We're also doing work with the Vermont Youth Project, and we, for those that aren't familiar with the Vermont Youth Project, it is real-time data that's captured every fall, every October, from grades 7 through 12. 7 through 12, thank you. 7 through 12, and it focuses on substance use and healthy lifestyle behaviors. So we own that data for Swanton. We're part of a 5-year test pilot, and we're able to use that data in kind of directing some of the work that we do. We've also just gotten the 2021 Youth Risk Behavior Survey, 2021 Youth Risk Behavior Survey data that we're going to be digging into to see where we can make an impact there as well.
Thank you, Crystal. Siobhan, communications.
I've got nothing.
I find that hard to believe.
It's really short. I wrote it all down so I wouldn't go too much off topic. Rather than repeating a lot of the same stuff, I'm doing a lot of the same stuff. Talking to people, asking 1,000 questions, knocking on doors, sharing information. If you, other admins on the Facebook page, we've been able to, in the last 28 days, I can do it up to 90 days it'll show, we've reached 16.3K people, is what it says. That's what it tells me. I'm gonna take those numbers. We've gained, since January, we've gained about 100 followers on the page. More followers, more likes, more shares, more comments. It always spreads the information better. Obviously still using Northwest Access. We have just gained one new committee member. Probably gonna start to organize something after school settles in this meeting, etc. Try to really hone in on some details, maybe a new draft for communications. Judy Paxman had approached Nicole and I with a wonderful idea where Hannaford was willing to support them as well, where we create a 2-week flyer of events, real simple, name, date, the event, an asterisk if the event is, if it has a fee or anything, and it'll be 2 weeks, out, we update it like that. I suggest we call it a 2-week notice, and then obviously it's gonna be pink if that's the case. Hopefully by the next meeting we'll have more stuff together, and we'll have, she wrote already a beautiful proposal, but we haven't gotten through that and all the things you gotta work on, all the components. But hopefully at the next meeting we can provide you with a proposal to ask for funding to support this for the first year at least. Actually, I think the paper, it's a box where you put the papers. Hannaford's willing to put one up at their store. Rec department probably, library, all you guys always. It's just another little thing, and the town, Christina and everybody has been willing, I've talked to a lot of people about it, everybody's willing to get together, formalize this and make it really happy and, something easy that people can pick up, take it with them, and they don't miss out on things, and we don't miss out on spreading word on that. And I guess the last thing I want to say, I don't know, as I say, I'm still learning, if I need to do this in a formal writing request after this meeting, which I will, but I'm going to tell you about it now. September 17th is the last food truck and farmers market Sundays for Swanton. Heather Bichkowski, Nicole, and I, and Scott Aaron Martell's been playing for free when he can, have been managing and working that out, vendors, and we had a rain day, we had to cancel one of them, but we always had a food truck. We did have people, and I always had fun when I went, so. But for the last one, I paid for Vermont Charming Events to come, to just give it a little bit more community, just put it on the website, come on out and whatnot. And this is what I'm talking about, the writing proposal part, I don't know if you were picking up on that, but if there's any way we could use some of our unrestricted funds for September 17th to have them come back again. $200 gets us 2 hours, 2 face painters, and a lot of happy community members. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Economic, or community economic development, anything? No?
I would consider that probably the food truck stuff, you know, in
Yeah,
a
I mean,
sense still.
they were part of that too.
Yeah, we did a lot at first, and it was during COVID, and then businesses were growing, and I don't know how much I need to do for it right now.
Yeah,
I've
things
kinda
are
stepped up.
thriving downtown. It's nice.
Most of the businesses are full.
We did great. It's 7 o'clock exactly.
Oh, wait, but one new business?
No, I'm not done. So, new business.
Just one thing. We had, and we did do a written report, we had one person who took advantage of attending the Vermont Council on Rural Development Leadership seminar. The organization, VCRD, actually picked up the registration for that person, but I would still like to have $50 go to the person for the transportation costs. Is that, we approved that expenditure early on. I just wanted to be sure that was okay, and maybe we can have a report on what the person gained from attending the leadership conference too. I think there were 600 people there or something, yeah.
I think the $50 is certainly reasonable.
Yeah, I do too.
If I can get someone give me that request, we'll reimburse it. Unless someone's got an issue.
Great,
And I think the other piece of new business is Siobhan's request.
Yes.
Right?
So I would make a motion to support the $200 to support the name of the group again?
Vermont Charming Events.
Vermont Charming Events for September 17th.
Can I get a second?
I second that. Yep.
Any discussion? All approved, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Are you out of pocket from when you said you brought them on before?
I did that on my own, and I want nothing back.
Did we have another request? Oh.
Thank you, though.
No one had any record of. The Gathering of the Realms, this Saturday and Sunday, they had requested donation from SEP. We have no record of it.
No, we had a long discussion
I think it was presented
about it, yeah.
At the May meeting.
I think our discussion was about being a sponsor, and I think we decided we did not want to be a sponsor, and then the question was, were we gonna donate some? And I don't know if we ever took it that next level and voted on any amount.
Oh.
I have no record to go by.
That's what I remember as well.
Yeah.
It seems like we didn't kind of conclude that, but we had a presentation and a discussion. Yes,
You're
absolutely.
Right.
It was right in this room.
And
Mhm.
a fiscal agent or something for the event, I think.
I think it was, we.
Shied away from
Right,
that,
we did not
yeah.
feel comfortable
Yeah.
doing that.
But they are still looking for a donation
Correct.
from that email that I just don't know how to.
Well, I guess it's a question for someone on the committee if they want to make a motion to support and make a donation or not. I think that's where it is. And if there isn't one, then SEP is not doing it. I mean, I
Does
certainly.
anybody want, make a motion for the donation for the Gathering of the Realms this weekend? And again, we do apologize that we didn't, we kind of overlooked it and we didn't have further discussion about it. And I understand if they have hard feelings, but next year definitely we could do something to support that if we can't today.
I would like to make a motion that I don't know if there's an amount I should say, or you guys had in mind, like even just throw them a little something for this year. Have to throw a number out there?
I think without a direct ask, you know, I think it's gonna be hard for us this year to fulfill any request, in my personal opinion.
So next year, I think if they come to us with a request, then we can definitely support that in the future. All right?
We'll save it for next year then.
So.
I have one more.
Oh,
business
Abby, go
thing.
ahead.
I'm just curious if the anybody from the Abenaki Tribal Council has been asked to join this committee, if they've ever been reached out. I just feel like that's really lacking in this committee.
They have been asked, and was Debbie on the committee at any point? Dubois? No. Okay.
I have some info on that, because I asked about that before, because I just feel like the Abenaki should have like their own steering committee seat, especially being that they were the first community of Swanton.
Yeah, and they're doing a lot right now too.
At the meeting in May, they had mentioned, well, Crystal's Abenaki, but then I also learned that a lot of times we, as a steering committee, only want one person representing each one, so I think it was something, and you could finish the rest of this, Crystal, where it was left at is, I really encouraged them to talk to the board, and I'd love to see Abenaki itself representation. And then, that's for you, Crystal.
So I can't speak for Abenaki leadership. I'm not part of tribal council. I'm not part of Mapambi and Missisquoi. I am a tribal member, and my mom helps Debbie to run the food shelf, and those ladies do an incredible job. I would suggest outreach to Debbie. To see if Debbie is interested, or perhaps Faith.
She's here.
Faith does an incredible job as well, as a community health worker.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not on
Okay.
I don't think it would necessarily need to be an Abenaki
Just a
person, just somebody to
representative.
represent that organization.
Yeah.
Someone to come here and share all the good news that's going on every time.
Right, you guys are doing so much. You really should have a spot here at this table and be seen and heard by all of these people. Sure.
So we can reach out to them and invite them to come into our steering committee, which we have a few openings, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, maybe Betsy and I can go and chat with you and Debbie. Debbie's
Perfect.
Because everybody's doing great things and we need to share the love. All right, as you can see, any other business before I move on? So our meeting dates are on number 11, so our next upcoming meetings, so all are welcome. We appreciate all of the community members coming in today. I've noticed that of the last few meetings, we've had a lot more community members come in and just kind of listen and have some input, and we'd love to see more community members come in and just listen to the great things that we're doing. And it's a great opportunity, as you see, that all of the people that are doing all the great work in the community are all sitting around this table or in the room. So it's a great opportunity to mingle or speak with them or ask questions if you wish. I don't think we're going anywhere right this second. Once we close the meeting, you'll have an opportunity to kind of touch base with a few people in the room. If you didn't want to speak up during the meeting, we'd love to hear from you. So thank you all for coming. Thank you, Debbie, for your years of Reg, congratulations to you. And Matthew Walker, thank you for coming and speaking. All right, so I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 7:09.
I'll second it.
Ooh, well done.
All approved, say aye.
Aye.
All right, meeting adjourned.